Ever get that feeling? You know, like when ride sharing first became a thing?
Yeah.
It was almost like too good to be true, right?
Right.
Pop open an app and boom, a car appears. Like magic, almost. But what happens when that magic, well, turns a little dark?
Yeah. It definitely makes you wonder, are we trading convenience for maybe a bit of risk?
That's exactly what today's deep dive is all about. We're looking at a rideshare situation gone very wrong. We've got surveillance footage, potential legal battles, and the whole thing just makes you think twice. Could this happen to anyone?
And it really digs deeper than just this one incident. It gets into safety protocols, the whole world of gig work, even how much we trust algorithms with our safety these days. It's complicated.
Okay, so let's break it down. October 2nd in Dallas, a passenger, 68 years old, Sulamon Gaba is his name, gets into an Uber driven by 41-year-old Willie Williams. Now, at some point during this ride, Gaba complains about the legroom in the back.
And to be fair, the exact details of this first argument, they are a bit unclear. Williams claims he canceled the ride, told Gaba to leave. But, and this is where it gets interesting, we have surveillance footage thanks to Fox 4 News. And let me tell you, what we see there paints a very different picture.
Oh, I bet. This isn't just a disagreement about legroom anymore, is it?
Not at all.
What went down?
We see Williams getting out of the driver's seat, walking around the car, and while Gaba's back is turned, punches him right in the back of the head,
Well,
blindsided.
wow. I mean, just hearing that, it's disturbing.
It is, and it really highlights the vulnerability we all have as passengers. I mean, you're getting into a stranger's car, trusting them.
Right. You're essentially putting your safety in their hands. And thankfully, in this case, Gaba wasn't seriously injured physically, but he's also a cancer survivor. The emotional and psychological impact of something like that, I mean, that has to be significant, right?
Absolutely. It shakes your sense of security, makes you question, who can you trust? And it really raises the question of responsibility. What are these ride-sharing companies doing to protect their passengers? Not just from physical harm, but from this kind of trauma as well.
It's a good question. And to make matters even more complicated, 8 days later, police arrest Williams at a hookah lounge, no less. Turns out, this wasn't his first run-in with the law. He has a prior assault conviction from back in 2002.
See, this is where the alarm bells really start going off, right?
All right.
How did someone with a history of violence pass an Uber background check? I mean, are these checks failing? Are there loopholes? And if so, how widespread is this problem?
Yeah, I can't imagine being another Uber driver right now either. Talk about a black eye for the whole industry. And for riders, I mean, it's scary. It makes you think twice about getting in that car. And Gaba himself, he's calling for Williams to face jail time.
I think that's a common sentiment. And this really shines a light on the gig economy as a whole, doesn't it? But on one hand, you have these companies like Uber. They're responsible for creating a safe environment for everyone. But then you have individual drivers who are just trying to make a living, and maybe the system itself needs an overhaul.
It's a tough one. How do you balance those two things?
Exactly. Then we get into the ethics of it all, right?
Yeah.
Relying on algorithms for background checks, are we putting too much trust in technology for something so important?
It makes you wonder, are there any other ways to do this? I mean, are there alternatives to just relying on these algorithms?
That's an interesting point, and there actually are think tanks, even some startups, exploring different models. Some are talking about more comprehensive background checks, looking at social media, that kind of thing. Others are proposing real-time verification systems, even using AI to analyze driver behavior during the ride. Of course, these all have their own challenges and ethical questions to consider.
Right, like where do you draw the line with privacy? It's a whole other can of worms. But it sounds like this incident has really sparked some serious conversations about how we move forward. So with all that said, what's the takeaway for the average person listening to this right now?